Awesome, guys. For those of you that are joining us, I am Nathan Raaths, and with me is Tamara Carter. And the reason we're putting this little video together was actually upon a request, because we have a very exciting tour coming up in Namibia. And people tend to have a lot of questions about the kind of work we're doing. And we thought we would kill two birds with one stone. So first of all, we'd have a short conversation together, kind of showing what it is that we're doing, and also why Tamara and myself have essentially brought our work together. So just starting off really simply, I'm just going to give you a little bit of an idea of who I am and what I do, and then I'm going to ask Tamara to do the same thing, and then the reason why our work has collapsed and come together. Essentially, Tamara and I have been friends, well over a decade, and we have worked together on many, many different things, but I've been in the Cape for the last 8 years, and I have worked with such magnificent teams when it comes to ayahuasca and sacred medicine, and I have had the honor of holding so many different ceremonies, learning from so many different facilitators, etc. But we are in a time where, because of the thousands of people that I have observed going into the medicine, the really big question that started to pop up with most facilitators is how much of it is actually modern word integrated, but how much of it is actually taken into your life? How does one create spaces of safety? How does one know that it will be a positive experience? And that's kind of what brings us to this conversation. So just to plug you into what I essentially do is I have been an ayahuasca facilitator for, I think it's about 12 years now. I do MDMA therapy. I do spiritual crisis coaching, and also do corporate workshops and talks. And that's just a quick overview of what I do. And I was the founder of the Mad Hatter's Shamanic Hub, and also the co-founder of Wake Circle, which is a contemporary shamanic society that is mostly based in Cape Town. So that's just a quick introduction into me. And yeah, then I'm going to let Tam, welcome to the space. Thank you for joining the conversation. We get asked so many of the same questions, and I think it'll be nice for us to just address it, yeah. But let's just start off with who you are and what it is that you essentially do.
Thank you very much, Nathan. So my journey started off pretty much really to find some peace within myself. And when this time arrived in my life, that is the time when Nathan and our paths collided. And I got introduced to the sacred plants at this time. But besides the sacred plants, I started a community center with Nathan. And within that community center, started delving deeper and deeper into just trying to find some kind of answers for myself, some kind of peace, some kind of freedom. There was no matter what it is I studied, no matter where I went, no matter what doors opened, there was a numbness inside, a feeling of never being enough, no matter what I did. And that pretty much was where my journey started. My journey started with the concept of really nobody holds my answers. Nobody except me. Everything I require, all the keys, all the codes, everything is within this body. And that was the hardest thing I ever had to do. Everything inside of me just wanted to jump outside of me and find the answers. Find another healer, find another philosophy, find another teacher, find another guru, just somebody just to help me. But I eventually had to surrender that process and actually realize that this all sits within me. And that has become my fascination. It's probably been about 10 years, 12 years now that this has been my journey, and I don't regret a minute of it, because every step of this way, everything I do in my life, I realize that the gateway is me. Every aspect of me, all the answers, everything lives within inside of me. And that is why this has become such an important workshop for me with Nathan, because between the plants and between my own work and the intimacy work, I have developed ways of actually working with my own body, with my own being, to discover everything that there is and to be able to integrate aspects of me as my life unfolds.
I love that. So if you could just give us a few sentences of exactly, even before our work has collided, what is your vocation? Like, how would you explain what your week looks like? What kind of work do you do?
Okay, basically, as a title, I'm an intimacy and relationship coach. And the reason I've chosen that title is because what intimacy is intimacy. So I am the gift I offer this world. And the relationship I have with myself is the relationship I get to experience in life. So relationships, love fascinates me, intimacy fascinates me, passion fascinates me. These are all aspects of me that I get to experience, and now I get to share that with the world. So I do coaching, I run these workshops with people. I also do body work, teach people how to work with their own life force energy, their own sexual energy, their own creative energy, and to access their own pleasure, their own desire, and their own truth in their world. So
Thank you. I love that. I love that. So yeah, I mean, so basically, we've known each other for a very long time. And this conversation, because we both hold spaces of transformation for individuals, has got deeper and deeper over the years. And really the question, I suppose, was, and what we're addressing here is what it is we've created now and why we've come together. And I obviously have been very much more in holding the sacred ceremonies and the containers, etc. But the realization of just how deep the entry work, as in the preparation, as in preparing each person, preparing the group, how deep that can go before I even become involved, as in running, let's hope, the most beautiful ceremony. And that's kind of the conversation we're having here is, so we have a program coming up in Namibia, and it is our wonderful friend Gwen, who is essentially hosting us, that's asked us to have this conversation to address concerns and ideas with people, but also to give them a little bit of an idea of what you're doing or what we're doing. So just to give everyone a little bit of an entry level, this is not going to be unique to Namibia, but this is Namibia that we are going to, and we're quite excited because I have run ceremonies in Namibia before at Spitzkop. Funny enough that Tamara's sister actually planned the whole thing, and it was magnificent, but I didn't see much of the country. So we're going to be out there in November, and essentially we have created a program where this is how the space would go. Once you do show an interest, Gwen is the actual lady on the ground. She's the organizer. She's the one that answers all the questions regarding the actual, let's say, organization. Tam and I will actually be the facilitators. And what the program is essentially, once you have asked or you've shown an interest, we will set up a call with you and we will talk through your own fears, concerns. There's quite a lot to talk about, like ayahuasca can have contraindications for certain medications and stuff like that. And then we all get put in a WhatsApp group, which is going to be the holding space essentially for this whole process. Then the Thursday before, and as I said, this is not unique to Namibia. This is a process we are running all over. There will be the first group Zoom session where the whole group gets together and we kind of ask our questions and we start to prepare, because one of the really big things here is about preparing our intentions, preparing what it is that we are actually wanting to do. And then, of course, we have decided to spend an entire day preparing people and working specific processes before I even climb in and begin to run the sacred ceremony with sacred songs, etc. So, Tam, I guess a lot of the questions at the moment are about what is the day about? Because you are an intimacy coach, you and I have had a lot of playful conversations, and I've told you, I have been through the process and it blew my mind. And we did it just before an ayahuasca ceremony. But I guess when I hear intimacy, I straight away start to think of kind of like, does this mean we're going to talk about sex, or I have to take my clothes off? And these are the kind of fears that come up. So I guess I want to put you on the spot a little bit. And I just want to ask you, besides, so if I haven't explained it well, there is going to be an entire process of where we are going to be supported, and we are going to be working not only in personal coaching with each individual, we are going to be working in groups. And this is going to continue for 20 days after the process. But to enter us kind of in what the program's about, because we're going to be, in this case, running it in Windhoek the one weekend, and then we're going to be in Swartkopmund the next weekend. And of course, there's a 20-day support process. So let's begin there. What would you share with us about what your intentions and goals are of why they are spending an entire day with us, and before we even take them into our chosen sacred teacher on the day, which is going to be ayahuasca?
Thank you for that question, because it's always the most fascinating question for me. Is automatically you mention the word intimacy and everybody thinks we're going to be getting naked and it's about sex. Don't worry, we will all have our clothes on. I don't work naked and nobody works naked, and we will not be touching each other in any kind of way. This is what I love about intimacy so much, and why I'm so passionate about it. Like I said earlier, what intimacy is, intimacy. That is what intimacy is. So by being able to see every aspect of you and being able to embody that, and for that to sit inside of your being, inside of your body, and being comfortable in that, that is the gift we offer the world. That is the gift we are in this world. So that is the most beautiful thing about intimacy for me. The problem with us is we are so fragmented. And it's not, does not mean that we're whole, we're not whole. It just means that we are fragmented, and there are so many aspects of us that we keep rejecting in this world. And if there is an aspect of you that you reject in this world, what that means is you move out of your body. And when you move out of your body, what starts happening is the external world starts affecting you. Where when you can accept everything about yourself, accept all the aspects of yourself, accept all the fragmented pieces of yourself, what happens is you become the force that moves in the world. And that is the soul process. What we will be doing is we will be working with those aspects, and we will be going through processes that can support you in actually being able to see where it is you are in rejection within yourself and you move out of your body, and how to bring that back into your body. That's a very big part, because everything we need is within this body. All the codes, all the keys, all the answers, we just got to remember them and bring them to places of acceptance. And in that, I will also be sharing processes where you get to activate your life force energy. So this is the only time I'm actually going to mention sex, and it's actually not the physical act of sex. It is actually activating your sexual energy, which is your life force energy, which is your creation energy, which is the most beautiful energy that there is, because it actually literally creates life. It is the energy that we move in this world. It is how we create everything. It is the energy you use to create dinner. It is the energy you use to laugh, to pleasure, to experience a blissful experience, just to love, just to be. It is you. And Those exercises are not things we are going to be doing in a group together. These are exercises I'm going to share with you that you go home and you experience these in your home, in your own privacy where it's safe. This is your journey. And the reason we are getting together, because it is a journey. It's a never-ending journey. I've been doing this journey for so long, and every single day I'm discovering aspects of me. Every single day I ignited a little more of my own life force. And what I am grateful for is I have the tools to be able to do it. And the curiosity and the blessing of every day unlocking and remembering a new element and a new aspect of who it is I am. So everybody's safe. Nobody's going to get naked. And the beautiful thing about it is a lot of us have gone through processes of maybe abuse, trauma, those kind of things that we don't want to share in a group setting. We are not in a position where you are forced to share anything. The way the processes work is we work on the energy of the experience, because that is what we are experiencing. So we don't have to be experiencing aspects of, oh, I was sexually abused. No, you don't need to be sharing anything you don't want to share. The way the processes are designed is we work on the energy of the experience and integrating that into your body. I hope that answers everything. So everybody's safe. Nobody's going to be naked. And, and tying that all into what comes later in the evening is the beautiful experience of the medicine, of ayahuasca, is the beautiful experience of the embodiment of everything we are experiencing in the medicine is us. It is all within us. What you get to experience in the medicine is the most magnificent aspects of yourself, no matter how they show up.
I mean, I absolutely love that. I mean, I had to laugh again when you said the naked thing, because really, we've had so many dynamic people that are so excited by the work we're doing, but like couples and individuals, they're genuinely nervous that they're going to be exposed in some way. And exposing myself, because I mean, essentially, if we look at it, we have two separate skills. Yours, you are all about the embodiment and the ownership and actually accepting the aspects of yourself, which has played an extraordinary part in my life. And I am very much the shamanic facilitator that will make you feel absolutely supported while you go through your process and etc. But what I love is, if I can just share my personal experience, which was in Benoni, I believe, where I decided I was going to do the entire workshop before the ayahuasca ceremony, which is kind of how this beautiful work came together. And what blew my mind, first of all, some of the homework you gave us, I'm still unable to do. So it's challenging, but it's challenging in my own private life. I go to bed at night and I ask myself, why can't I do this? But on top of that, I want to tell you the part that blew me, absolutely blew my mind, was because I've been serving ayahuasca to thousands of people, and the question of intention comes up all the time. Never mind how it is that we get them to embody it into their lives. We are creating an embodiment process early on. But the part that blew my mind was there was a specific couple, because I know we've done this a few times. There was a specific couple, and you know what really blew my mind was how many times I've seen that if they've spent the day looking through your processes, in the middle of one of the ceremonies, this incredible lady called me over and she whispered in my ear, everything's been shown to me. In other words, the questions that they had created in the day became the ultimate intention. And I love that. And the other thing I like is that when you are working with this kind of stuff, where you're working with some form of a psychedelic sacramental medicine that has guided people for thousands of years, there is very much, in my understanding, when it's the most powerful is when people are willing to accept that anything they experience in a safe, perfectly designed area is aspects of themselves and something that they can interact with and they can take ownership for. And I've noticed that since we've put this process together, no one feels ever the fear that, oh, I'm externally influenced, or even if someone is crying in the room, people are like, you know, that person's crying helped me access the fact that I actually had certain childhood things. So I love the way that if it's created in the correct way, and after you've had, and I'm going to be playful, once you've got hold of them for a whole day, by the time that I actually serve the medicines, it's extraordinary. So just to speak a little bit into the actual ayahuasca ceremony, because some people don't actually know, but I mean, there would be a preparation of a detox and obviously meetings before where we get to know each other, and this whole day process that will be done, guided by Tamara. And then when I essentially take over, because we're still together, we work together, but that's more my areas of expertise, there is an absolute focus on already knowing what each person's neurosis is, what each person's fear is, already knowing what a person's dealing with. And I want to almost, I think I almost want to assure people that if you know without a doubt that whatever comes up during your ceremony will be met in the correct way with compassion and constant support, it never goes wrong. It never goes wrong. Even if a person has a small period where they have such difficulty, most people report it was the most profound moment of their lives. So it's that funny balance. You want that ceremony where it's just all bliss, and it happens often. It's just blissful. You understand God, you understand your place in the universe, and everyone wants that ceremony. But what I have noticed, and I really do feel I can speak on this now because I've been observing this for so long, it's that ceremony where your fear or a memory you didn't know existed, or a discomfort, or being extremely ill for a period, no one wants to actually go there. But that is where people really shift. And I think as psychedelic therapists in general, that's where people have been let down, because you are essentially opening really, really raw doors. It's very common for people to realize, as you know, we've been talking about this for weeks, that they were actually sexually abused and they didn't even know that during a ceremony, or they could become aware of how simple a simple fear is driving their entire lives. My point is simply that although it is a life-changing experience, the way that it is dealt with is so important. Not only how you deal with the person if they are having difficulty, and it's actually rather rare. If people are prepared correctly, and if people are heard, and if people understand kind of what they are involved in, you know, it's kind of like if you listen to most people's really scary experiences when it comes, I mean, as I told you, I'm a spiritual crisis coach, and I work mainly with psychosis, people that have had some form of psychotic break. And nearly every single time that this happens, as in when I start to track the history of, they felt unsafe, they were holding scary thoughts, they were, you know, and this whole thing played into it. And I've just observed, especially after an embodiment process like what you are doing, that people meet it with such grace. They're like, it's almost like I have a memory of having a panic attack 2 o'clock in the morning on a highway one day. And I pulled the car over. I couldn't even drive. And I remember standing in the grass as the cars were flying past me, thinking, I feel so alone and I cannot face this panic attack. But once I discovered the healing community and container, which is our way of saying that it is perfectly supported. A panic attack when you are in a group, which is the worst case scenario that we ever see, and it's rare. But a panic attack when you are in a room of people singing beautifully with candles that have prepared you, that know all about you, that know what the possibility are, it's almost like you can just lean into it and you can go, okay, well, I always have this feeling and I run away from it. I've watched people have panic attacks in ayahuasca that 10 minutes later, they're lying under their blanket, giggling, like laughing at whereas just 5 minutes ago, they were going, I'm not sure if I'm enjoying this. So I feel like the love and the safety and the understanding and being heard and all of these things are so, so important. And I think that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I know that not just in our community, but also in the people that are working with us now, wanting to know why the synergy. And I mean, our friendship was an obvious synergy, but why we've decided to collide, literally collide our work together, because you know how to make people accept the aspects of themselves, to embody it. And I know how to take people to places safely. And I think that's beautiful. Before we move into kind of like a little bit of how our itinerary works, I didn't hear what you said.
My phone fell.
You what?
Sorry, my phone fell.
Oh, no problem. So before I move into the closing, where we're just going to talk a little bit about how the itinerary works and how the 20-day support program works, I feel like I just want to give you a little bit of space to just speak into any of those things of, you know, kind of the work and your experience, anything that's coming up for you.
Yes, actually, that's what I was wanting. I got so excited and then everything collapsed. Is, you know, when I met you, there was a very big part of my life, or most of the first part of my life, was a deep numbness, a deep, deep numbness. And then, of course, everything changed. But I remember coming to do my first ceremony and how petrified I was. I was petrified, to the point that I actually thought I might die. That I even wrote my husband at the time and my little boy a letter to say, I might not come back, but I can't do this anymore because I'm this numb. But anyway, that was the start of a real adventure. And that real adventure was, I discovered I'd been sexually abused. I discovered parts of me that were so dormant, that I had numbed out, that I was fully out of my body. I didn't feel anything in this body anymore. Everything was outside of the body, and I just didn't care anymore. But one thing I do know, and this has been the deepest gratitude of my life, is our paths colliding, and then Mother Ayahuasca, is I deeply got to experience what acceptance was. When this journey started for me, there was so much fragmentation. There were so many aspects of me that I didn't even know. There were so many things in my life I had blocked out to protect myself. And how could I show that to anybody? And nobody could love me when I started remembering. And Mother Ayahuasca, all she ever did was she held me. That no matter what I remembered, no matter what I felt, all it was acceptance. She accepted, I accepted, it was all acceptance. But the most amazing thing for me was the man holding the space, and that was you. No matter what I experienced, no matter what psychotic state I went into, no matter how many tears, no matter how much laughter, no matter if I orgasmed, no matter what experience I had, I was in the safest place I could be. And in that changed everything for me, because I got to realize that acceptance is everything. And acceptance creates the most beautiful container that there is. So between you, the plant, and intimacy, I can't imagine a safer container to embody everything, no matter how it shows up. And that has been my blessing. And I would redo my life all over again just to experience this feeling I carry inside of me today. So the plants, for me, the container and the safety you hold, the work that I do, for me, as the safest place that no matter what shows up, it can be brought to the deepest love, to the deepest acceptance. So
I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. Yeah, funny enough, I spoke to such a wonderful lady yesterday, and she contacted me about a private ceremony. And one of the things she was saying is that she was so ready to do it until she started researching. And I said to her that researching is one of the worst things you can do. And I'll tell you why, because in a very conventional place, what essentially happens with most kind of South American cultures, right? Because we are a contemporary shamanic society, which means we learn as much as we can from the past, but it also means that our focus is more on trauma information, as you and I have been studying trauma for 10 years, on communication, on holding space, on psychosis, on things like that. And I tried to explain to her that, you know, they have a very different mind frame there. They don't have our fears and our complexities. And when they drink ayahuasca, they drink an entire mug. And then the idea is your body will throw out what it doesn't want. And I just want to assure other people that science and, let's say, the ancient ways have mixed. And if your facilitator really knows what he's doing, we all have a different kind of level of what we think is extreme. And in the process that Tamara and myself run, we essentially actually allow them to drink incrementally. And what that means is that you have many opportunities to have a little bit more of the ayahuasca and to see what it's telling you and if you want to increase the process. And what's fascinating is this excites a lot of people and it gets the very anxious people through the door. But you know what blows my mind, Tam, and you know this, the people that we've been working with, because this is part of the process, for 2 weeks to get them ready, the ones that say, I have this mental disorder or I have panic attacks, they are always the ones that end up drinking every single round. Every single round. And that's what really started to deepen the work that you and I are doing together, because now this person, the lady that I was speaking to yesterday that I told, please don't research too deeply, and I gave her some reasons, she said to me, Nathan, I had a difficult experience for 3 days on marijuana. And I said to her, I understand. I really do, because essentially we need to understand that if you take enough of anything, even marijuana, and I know there are many people out there that have had a terrible experience, and you don't know dosage and you don't have the right environment and you're not feeling safe, and it can become a difficult experience. And I think that's what's so beautiful. This whole thing is essentially designed to make you feel safe. So just to, because you and I could talk forever, I just want to kind of close with, and then you can give me closing thoughts, how this process works. And yes, currently it is going to be Namibia, but we do this, well, in multiple cities. But how this process works is you contact us and immediately we will do a call. The lady who is involved in actually booking and doing all of this, as I said, is Gwen, and the information will be very clearly imparted on any form of this video that we share. And then you will need to do a coaching call, and that will either be with Tamara or myself. There is also a coaching call at the end of the process, and you will switch facilitators. So in other words, you're going to have to deal with me a bit. You're going to have to deal with Tamara a bit, because as I said, I'm quite ethereal. I'm very much like a fear coach kind of thing. And Tamara, as we've said, is in the embodiment side. Then you all have your Zoom meeting, and 2 days before, so that you get to meet the team, you arrive, whether you're doing Windhoek or Swartkopmund, And then what happens is you spend the day doing this embodiment process, which is essentially all of the things Tamara said. We're not going to, I want to leave a little bit of mystery here. And by the time Tamara's done with you, we're going to have a fire ceremony. And that fire ceremony, you are either going to put in an intention, burn something you want to get rid of, etc. And that fire ceremony is just before you drink into the ayahuasca. Then the sacred ceremony begins, and we set certain intentions, like we don't speak much in the ceremony unless you want to talk to a facilitator. We are there constantly. Even if you need to go outside and you need to speak to us, you need your hand held. Most people just want you to actually sit near them when they're having a little bit of an uncomfortable perspective, whereas most people that are really scared actually end up shocking themselves and lying under the blankets, laughing most of the evening because the answers that they're getting are hysterical. In other words, they can't believe just how simple sometimes their problems are. And then in the morning, the ceremony will take about 4 to 6 hours. Of course, we don't use a clock, and we will be singing sacred songs and things like that. And as the ceremony starts coming to the end, we put actual physical music on through a speaker, just because it has a slightly different energy and it's a nice way to let people float. And then we do a little bit of a closing in the evening where we all just give a very short version of how we're doing. And I am shocked, even if someone has been sick for 3 hours, I'm always so inspired by the time everyone's ceremony is over, the words that come out of their mouths. Grateful, expansive, like they always usually, even if they've had a difficult experience, they're in such an incredible space. Then in our own time, we go to sleep. And what happens the following morning, because you all sleep in the same space, there's a lot of possibilities to get away if you want, but we kind of sleep in the little nest that we were in. We wake up and we have breakfasts, and essentially we do a big sharing circle. And that's the first time that you get to really sit and listen to what it is that's happened to each person, which is magnificent. Then we all go our separate ways, and we will be meeting once a week for a 20-day process where we get together and we report how we are doing, not just in our lives, but most importantly, on the goals that we set during the process with Tamara. In other words, like by the time you drink the ayahuasca, you're going to have a very clear idea of what you're going to take on. And it's like getting together with a bunch of, and you're going to fall in love with your group, first of all, because the type of people that do this, they're really they really want to know something about themselves. And then for 20 days, we are in this process where we are both available to you. And at the same time, we sometimes come together as a group. And our last time we come together is a little bit of a graduation. There is no shame involved, but it's kind of like, this was my plan. This is what I wanted to quit. This is the conversation I wanted to have, or this is the job I would, like whatever they set into the space, then we kind of report back to each other on how it went. And I just find that this whole process, I'm seeing people actually embody the messages they're getting in medicine, because the fact that you're going to get some messages, no doubt, but to take it into your life involves people, involves support, involves coaching, and involves such a deep compassion. So from me, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm really excited to once again, I told you I'm more excited because it's Namibia this time. And but I'm just looking forward to running this with you so many times. And I'm going to ask you to just close off us with anything that you have to say. And those that have watched this, we look forward to showing you a new kind of way of being supported and of being loved. And I have no doubt that you're going to have a very powerful process. And it's always such an honor to be involved in people that are willing to take on their shadows, even though 90% of people come into this process expecting hell. and actually just get such light, clean, special messages, and that they actually just flow through the whole thing. And the odd person that really goes to war and gets very sick and has to actually purge out problems and has to ask themselves some deep questions, they actually the ones that become our greatest promoters. So it's a very interesting thing. So any closing thoughts from you, Tam? I really appreciate your time.
The biggest thing for me has always been safety. Safety is a very big thing in my life. And I guess just feeling safe in my own body, that's where it all comes from. So that's a very essential element in everything that we do. And it's very essential for me, and I know it is essential for you too. And then the acceptance in that safe place. And with that acceptance, I don't think there is a greater love in this world. And that makes me really happy and makes me excited. So thank you, everybody, for your time. And thank you, Nathan, for your time.
Thank you so much, Tam. I'm just going to end this recording.